Masked up. Everybody see our little plexiglass dividers? Nothing can get through this divider. Thank you. Oh, wow. So we're safe. Okay, I call this meeting of the Prosper Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. I will lead us in the invocation, and then we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. So please pray with me. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here this evening. We thank you for the blessings that you have rained down upon this district. We're grateful for the staff and the teachers, grateful for the parents and the kids represented. Lord, I just pray that you would continue to pour out your blessings on this district. Lord, we ask that you would provide protection, that you would provide healing, that you would keep us safe. Lord, that you would allow us to continue to educate our children and let them grow and stronger in body and mind and soul and spirit. I pray particularly for our teachers fighting every day through these the distractions that come with educating our kids. I pray, Lord, that you would give them encouragement and discipline, strength and hope and joy in what they're doing. Lord, I pray that they would even tonight be encouraged in the work that they're doing. I pray for us as a board tonight that you would give us wisdom and discernment as we deliberate the matters before us. Show us the way that you would have us to go. Thank you for your blessings and your care and provision for us. And we pray all this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So we canvass first. Is that what we need to do? Or do the...
Yes, we do.
Okay. So I think we've got the information here.
We do. I'm going to click and get to that page too, so that we've got.
One of the odd things they ask us to do is to canvass and certify the election results, as if we had great insight into those numbers, but we'll do what we're supposed to do. Congratulations to Dina. We're so excited to have you with us tonight. Thank you for being here and for serving the school district. The election totals for Denton and Collin County are before us. Do I have a motion to canvass the election returns for the November 3rd, 2020 school board election?
I'll make a motion.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Get a second? Thank you, Jen. All in favor? Okay, very good. Well, we will now move toward, do we want to do the swearing in? What do you want to do, Holly?
Let's honor.
Okay, let's do that. Okay. So we will move now toward, first of all, honoring Miss Michelle McBride. So how do you want to do that?
I want her to come up front.
Okay, good. I can put this back on.
Well, so I wanted to honor her publicly and make sure that everybody in the room and then all of our friends that are virtual out in the public are able to see the servant in front of them. Michelle McBride has given 9.5 years to Prosper ISD and many more years before that. She's someone who stayed on the journey even though when she first arrived in Prosper ISD, the education may not have been exactly what she and Byron, her husband, were dreaming of for their 3 children. But she committed and she took a step forward and she took a seat at the table so that she could make education better for her kids, but also for all of your kids, my kids. And for that, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for pushing us. Thank you for making this district a better place. We have a few things that we want to give to you, but before we do that, I want Mr. Bridges also.
Good. I would certainly echo what Holly has to say. It's been a pleasure and a joy to serve with you for 9.5 years. You know, when you look at a board meeting, if you come to any of our board meetings, you'll say, man, those guys, they seem to agree on everything and everything clicks along very well. That's not always true in the back. And Michelle is always one who's called us to account and said, hey, have you thought of this? Have we looked at that? We present a united front out here, but I've always been grateful for her willingness to express herself, to make sure her concerns are understood, and it's been for the best of our district. So it's been an honor and a privilege in my life to serve with you on the school board. So thank you.
So we have a few things for Ms. McBride. McBride. So first of all, this book is so appropriately titled because anybody who knows Michelle McBride, grit and grace could not sum it up better. As I've said, she has pushed us to get better for our kids, for our staff, for our parents, for our community. And inside of this fabulous, inspiring book of grit and grace, our leaders as well as school board members have written special messages to you to thank you for your time, your service, and what you've done for Prosper ISD. So there's that, but then we have a little something else we'd like to present to you as well. So this can go on your mantle. I'm sure that Byron would love to have this. Yeah. So I want to read this aloud because I think it really sums it up. True leaders are selfless. They have always been servants of the people first. Michelle McBride, PISD School Board Member, 2011 to 2020.
This is so kind. Thank you both for the kind words. It means so much. Like you said, I moved my family here 20 years ago. I had no idea I would be standing before you with almost 10 years of service to this amazing district. It has been my privilege and honor to serve you, and I can't say enough about the board. I have the utmost respect for each one of you. Your commitment to excellence, your vision, to always put children first is amazing, and I'm so proud that I had the opportunity to serve with each one of you and all the past board members also. You
don't need to say
Nope.
about me.
I'm going to. It's not one opportunity. You, Dr. Watkins, Dr. Bradley, you guys are the heart and soul of this district. We all know it, but it can never be said often enough. The way you have led this district, this will go for generations to come, I can guarantee you. And I cannot thank you enough for how you have served all these families in this district, and will continue to do that. And I'm just so proud of you. And then for the admin, I've formed so many wonderful relationships. I'm just looking out. I've already kind of had some tears before, but I just am so amazed at how you serve and you genuinely care for the hundreds and thousands of families. And you've served mine so well. And I just thank you so very much. Lastly, my wonderful husband, your love and support and encouragement for the past 10 years has allowed me to pursue this passion, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you for trusting me, and thank you for allowing me to serve this amazing district. Yes, I can hold on. Hold on. It's not gonna be that easy.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Absolutely.
Bradley.
Okay. Do we need to, swear in? I think we're swearing in.
You're
Yep.
not gonna
Yep.
stay? I mean, one last time.
I can even do the budget before you get
Byron was jumping over chairs.
Oh, I thought she was staying. All
Thank you.
Great. Let's go ahead and swear in. You Deborah?
Okay, so swearing in Ms. Smith, and we'll have Ms. McCurry come up. Okay, if you'll raise your right hand, sure, left hand on the Bible, repeat after me. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas. In the name and the authority of the state of Texas. I, Deborah Smith. do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Prosper ISD School Board Trustee of the State of Texas and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
Great.
Dixon, if you have family members that would like to come up.
Yeah, do you want to come up for pictures or do it afterwards?
After? Okay. Your choice.
Yeah.
Okay, Dean, if you'll raise your right hand, put your left hand on the bottom, and repeat after me. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I, Dina Dixon, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Prosper ISD School Board Trustee of the state of Texas and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
Great. Do you want to do family? Do you want to do
Everybody ready? Yes.
Great, sure, I'll slide it.
Did you get our smiles okay? I can tell. All right. Your eyes are smashing. Thank you.
That's a fun way to start meetings. We don't get to do that very often.
So true.
We do have public
We do.
comment. Let's go ahead and, okay, we have some public comment tonight. We now move to the public comment session of our agenda. The board welcomes comments from citizens who have completed public comment cards, which are accepted from 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. and are not transferable to other speakers. Please be advised that the information shared in public comment is not an endorsement of the information shared by the presenter and solely provides the opinion of the individual speaker, not the district. 30 minutes have been allotted for public comments. I don't think we usually need 30 minutes, but 3 minutes per speaker, please. Please keep all public comments related to school district governance and operations. If you have a specific concern related to an employee of the district or a specific student issue, you are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance procedures provided in board policies DGBA local, FNG local, and GF local. Each grievance procedure allows for an individual to redress grievances with the Board of Trustees. Additionally, if there are 5 or more individuals that would like to speak on the same topic, you may choose to appoint an individual to speak on behalf of the group as provided in board policy BED local. Finally, remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not properly posted on the agenda. That's probably the most important thing for you that are speaking tonight is it's not an agenda item. We can't respond. So you're going to think, well, those people are just sitting there stone-faced like statues. We're not by law allowed to respond to that, but wanted to let you know that. So we could start with Pat Cochran. Is that right?
That's right, yep.
If you would just come up and introduce yourself and your name and address, and somebody's going to keep the timing. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Pat Cochran. I'm a resident of Prosper. My address is 741 Salt Lake Court. And my son is in kindergarten at Rucker Elementary. And I come again before you today to request the normalization and readoption of pre-COVID school protocols. I still reject any new normal being implemented or pushed by the school board and Prosper ISD. Everyone on this board needs to be aware of the state of affairs when I must come back to redress my grievances with this board because we have stagnated on any movement as it relates to individual liberties and medical freedom of choice within our district. I've held the line on freedom before in combat as a paratrooper, a pathfinder, and Army Special Operations veteran. I will continue to do so now as a husband, father, and member of this community. God endowed me with the spiritual gifts of leadership and wisdom to be able to be boldly speaking into a world clouded with doubt and ambiguity in a situation where people are looking for certainty and answers. To quote Ronald Reagan in his 1964 A Time for Choosing speech, admittedly, there is a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson in history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. The appeasement I refer to is a safety theater being perpetuated across the world through masking, social distancing, lockdowns, COVID testing, case count hysteria, and ever-increasing encroachment on basic civil liberties. This is a campaign of fear being run by health bureaucrats who are manipulating scientific data to push their will on society, agnostic to laws, and historical precedent. We now see governors again trying to institute further lockdown measures, and I can guarantee you it's only a matter of time before we see our benevolent governor follow suit. And then what? What path does Prosper ISD take? The path of risk aversion and fear-mongering, or of rational, well-informed policy and hundreds of years of established constitutional protections in this country? I say the only path is to allow individuals the freedom to make the best choices for themselves and their families attending school. I do not accept the excuse that our hands are tied to the TEA, because that's false, and that we must wait for a vaccine to get back to normal, because even as Tony Fauci said, he recently said that these temporary COVID protocols will subsist long after vaccine availability. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in this life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this invisible enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the Christ? Or should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns, refused to fire the first shot heard around the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and I refuse to continue to bow to the fear campaign and the will of health experts who have been consistently wrong since day one of the pandemic, and whose inputs and conclusions ignore our basic God-given liberties and free will. Oswald Chambers said, "The remarkable thing about God is that when you fear God, you fear nothing else. Whereas if you do not fear God, you fear everything else. If for nothing else tonight, at least you know all the things I do not fear and the one that I do."
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Mr. Cochran. Also have Emily Cochran signed up.
Hello, my name is Emily Cochran, and I also live at 741 Salt Lake. I'm here in Prosper, and my son is a kindergartner at Rucker Elementary. I so appreciate living in Prosper and being part of this school district. I know that our students, parents, teachers, and this school board have been navigating very difficult things in 2020. This moment in time is complicated and messy. Views are clashing like never before, and I'm sure for every perspective like mine, you've got others that oppose or contradict. I've been very proud of the way our school district has engaged in divergent and innovative thinking, whether it be establishing programs like Hope Squad or hosting Colin Karchner to talk about the dangers of smartphones and social media influence. We have so much to be proud of. I've also been paying attention to how other schools in Texas and around the country have been navigating 2020. Some schools have continued on with life as normal without masks or social distancing. Districts in Texas, like Peaster ISD, have lifted the requirements of their students and staff with no disastrous impacts. In fact, Peaster seems to be doing well and thriving, allowing students to choose whether to wear a mask if they want to. I'm not seeing any evidence that shows their choices to be bad ones. What I do see is our complicity in training an entire generation to live in fear. As we push through flu season, which conveniently seems to have disappeared entirely, we continue to test for any of the long list of vague symptoms. The PCR tests being used were not designed to be used as a diagnostic tool because they cannot distinguish between inactive viruses and live or reproductive ones. You get swabbed and your swab goes off for amplification. Amplification over 35 cycles is considered unreliable and scientifically unjustified, yet many of these labs are using 45 cycles. This amplifies any tiny sequence of viral DNA that might be present to the point that the test reads positive even if the viral load is extremely low or the virus is inactive. The current test can also pick up the presence of other coronaviruses, so a positive result may indicate that you're simply recuperating from a common cold recently and pose no risk to anyone. These tests are highly unreliable, and yet this is what we're using to push the measures we're adhering to. Case count should not drive fear. It's interesting that hospitalizations and death are not focused on, but simply cases, cases, cases. A policy review paper published in Emerging Infectious Disease in May found no evidence to support universal mask wearing as protective measures in a non-healthcare setting. By our own dashboard numbers, we're showing that these masks are not working. You would expect, given our requirements, that our elementary schools would be a hotbed of cases and our high schools would be few. Yet we aren't seeing that. Rather, we're seeing cases of kids wearing masks and still coming down with strep or other illnesses because of the bacteria colonizing in their upper airways and throats. The children have been obedient, and yet we continue to cancel any bit of normalcy that they have because of unsubstantiated fear. If we want to return to normal, we need not wait for someone to give us permission. It's been made clear that there's no end goal, no normal that's coming back unless we push for it. This virus is 99.99% survivable for ages 0 through 19 per the CDC's data, and 99.7 survivable for everyone underneath 70. I hope that this, thank you.
Thank you. We have Hillary Morabito. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Hillary Morabito, and I have 6 children. I live at 1950 Mountain Creek Lane in Prosper. 5 of my 6 children attend Prosper ISD schools. And I want to talk to you tonight about the indoctrination that's going on with these masks. First I would like to bring up the fact that, Mark Twain, there was a phrase that he made popular, and it said, there are lies, darn lies, and statistics. Well, I think we're in the lies phase of this because we don't have statistics supporting data that the masks are actually doing their job and keeping us all healthy, free from this virus that's, as Emily spoke, about 99.9%. That's the mortality rate. It's pretty good odds, actually. But instead, what we've got is no end game. No end game for our children to have a normal life, to be able to breathe normally and socialize with their friends on a normal basis. Instead, what we've got is Prosper ISD doubling down, which is evident from the pictures you have so proudly displayed with children of all different age groups in masks, masked up. And then when we ask, what is the end game? Everybody is quick to do this, point fingers. And in doing this, you know what happens? You do this to our children. You do this emotionally to our children because they're plagued with depression and anxiety and fear. When you do this to our children socially because they can't engage with their peers like they're supposed to. When you do this to our children's health as they have to breathe through the mask and breathe in their own viral debris. That's what happens. And so there's no excuse to say that there's no end game or not develop an end game. There needs to be. So I just want to leave you with this. Prosper ISD, if it continues to stay this way, if you've ever wondered if you would comply in 1930s Germany, now you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Troy Brock.
Good evening. My name is Troy Brock. I'm at 1710 Cherry Blossom Lane in Prosper. I'm not going to talk about masks. I couldn't agree more with the previous speakers, though. So you've got one more constituent that feels the way they feel. I want to talk about how the election went down, because that's the elephant in the room. And I want to make sure that everybody knows, from somebody who's got a spouse who works for the district, who has children who've graduated from the district, and who has a high schooler and a middle schooler that's still in the district, that we are so proud of what this district represents. When I run across people in business, in my personal life, and I tell them I'm from Prosper, one of the first things they always say is, oh my gosh, your schools are great, right? Yeah, they're awesome. And I can tell you it's because of the people. It's the teachers, it's the administrators. They're wonderful. And I'm saying a little bit about it because of my wife. She's in Head Rogers. And she does a great job. And when people ask her, she says the same thing. It's the level of people that you hire and the level of achievement that they have and that they expect from the students and from one another. Well, that goes for citizens to this board as well. Our level of expectation for what you do and how you hold yourself, whether it's a forum like this, or it's behind social media, or it's to the side when you're having a conversation. I've seen it, and I'm disappointed. And there are members on this board that did not represent PISD the way that it should be represented. And the way that Ms. Dixon was treated, someone that I've known for more than 2 decades, was disgraceful. And I just want you to know that you gave our district a black eye with some of the actions and some of the things that you said. And there are many people behind me that feel the exact same way. And I'm taking a big risk by getting up here. You employ my spouse. But I'm going to tell you, there's so many more people that would be here as well because they asked me to just say something. So I just want you to know, we expect more. And I think it would be poignant for someone to take responsibility and make an apology, not only to Ms. Dixon, but to the citizenry and to one another, because there are people up here who didn't hold one another accountable for what was going on behind the scenes and what was going on in social media. And there's not an excuse for that. So I'd like an apology from someone on this board, for Ms. Dixon, and for the people that you represent in your constituency. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Appreciate that, Mr. Brock. Thank you. Thanks for all of our speakers. That concludes our time of public comment. We need to do
Election.
3B.
Yes. So we need a consideration and possible action regarding board reorganization and election of officers because Ms. McBride has obviously stepped down and she was the secretary for the board. And then we'll need to consider vice president and president as well. So all offices.
Okay? We need a motion for that?
I'd like to make a motion to Mr. Bridges as president, Mr. Davenport as vice president, and Ms. Smith as secretary.
Okay, great. Comments? Second? Okay.
All those.
All in favor? Great, okay, thank you. Thank you for that. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. I think we've all had a chance in the packet to look over the prior minutes, the enrollment. You want to walk us through the construction update?
Yes, sir. So obviously, enrollment, I want to bring up, because I know you all received this well in advance, and we were at 19,169, and today we are at 19,213 students as of today. Our projected enrollment is 19,330, so we are definitely on track to meet that number. So we're very excited and very proud about that. Our construction update, I think we went out to elementary 13 with our video. Mr. De Velasco, can you give us an update video for 14, please? I think it's the other video. Because they're gonna see a lot of dirt on this one.
It's all right.
It's a lot of dirt. So let's go with 14, because there's actually some walls. Yes, so this is Mrs. Jerry Bryant. So we're on track with both of those projects. I do want to say thank you to the board. That was probably one of the neatest moments that I've had in this opportunity to serve as superintendent, to call these families to ask them if they would like a school named after a loved one. Families brought to tears, and families with just such a high level of honor, and so it was a really awesome moment. I don't think I realized how neat it was going to be. And I want to say thank you to Huckabee for creating the videos also that's served not only within our school board meetings, but being able to share those videos with the families so that they can see the update and the progress of the school that their family members are named after. So
That's
it's
great.
very nice.
Very good. We're not going to see the dirt.
I mean, we can play the dirt if you want to play the dirt.
Let's see the dirt. They
Let's-
said they flew
okay,
over the
Mr.
dirt.
Fernando, why don't you go ahead and cue up the dirt? This is Auburn Hills. Those are not lagoons. Just know that was just a little rain, and so that will be
That's
cleared
Reeves.
up. Yes, Mike and Janie Reeves Elementary.
That's great.
Okay, I think we need a motion on the minutes, and then we'll move over to
Well,
Dr.
do we want to
Moore.
do for the rest of the consent agenda, we want to do the library report while we're here?
Actually, Dr. Mann's going to present.
Okay, let's do that. We'll call that all and then we do the class size
Okay.
waivers in there too.
We actually have a ongoing approval on those.
Okay, good. Well, you want to do student outcomes then?
Yes, Dr. Mann.
Good evening, Dr. Ferguson and members of the board. I am Dr. Leah Mann, and I am privileged and honored to be in my second year in Prosper ISD serving as Director of Library Services. Every day that I come here to support this team, it's an incredible honor. These librarians pour their hearts and their souls into serving the Prosper ISD community, and I am thrilled to brag on their hard work tonight. So this is our team. And telling their story tonight, because, stereotypically we think of librarians, we think of stories. I could talk about facts and figures and talk about the number of books we have in our schools. I could talk about the number of times students are checking out those books, but libraries are so much more than that. And, once upon a time, you may have experienced a library a little bit like this, because I know this was my experience. So maybe you remember this bad boy. Oh, the card catalog. So, libraries, and when I was growing up anyway, and again, it might be your experience too, libraries used to be about learning the Dewey Decimal System, and you would come in, and if you needed to find a book, you'd go find that lovely little 3x5 index card and try to find that book on one of many shelves that you may have had to navigate. And, libraries were just that. They were repositories of information, and that was it. And at the helm, the leader wasn't the students. It was this individual. And, we talk a lot about librarians of the past being the shushing librarian and libraries always being quiet, caves of information. And again, that's just not where we are anymore. This is where libraries are, and this is where I'm proud to say libraries are in Prosper ISD. We are future-ready librarians. The librarians of this district run instructional programs that are much more anchored in not just literacy. I mean, literacy is one component of it. It's the thread that weaves it all together, but we're talking about
program development. We're talking about instruction. Here in the state of Texas, librarians are indeed classified as teachers, and we have 2 years of minimum of classroom teaching experience, and as well as a master's degree. And we take that very seriously. That we're there to provide support to teachers. We're there to support our admin teams. We ensure digital access to information in equitable ways. We manage budgets. I like to joke that we run Barnes and Noble, Radio Shacks, Best Buys, and libraries all concurrently. And so we juggle a lot. And again, the team, they do a remarkable job of that. So libraries today in PISD, we are not just rows and rows of books. We are not just card catalogs. In fact, we look for books on computers now, and we're not shushing anybody. As Dr. Ferguson wrote on one of our librarians' walls earlier this year, amazingly innovative learning occurs in this space, and it really does, because we are learning hubs. We are flexible spaces. We provide robust technology. We are experience rich. Our librarians are embedded in instruction. We are student and community focused. And above all, we are innovative. So as learning hubs, we are curriculum aligned. Librarians, we do not have a set state curriculum. Our curriculum is the curriculum. So the curriculum that's adopted by PISD is what drives what we do. We teach the TEKS in all subject matters. So not just your traditional reading and writing, but we help teachers with science lessons, math lessons, social studies, all of the curriculum pre-K-12. We are focused on the 4 C's. So we push students to be critical thinkers, to be creative, to collaborate with one another, and to communicate. And students have multiple opportunities throughout the school day, throughout the school week, throughout the school year to embark on all of those elements. We are working really hard to promote digital citizenship. So we're trying to teach students to be thoughtful purveyors of information. We're trying to teach them to look at information through a critical lens, but also to be very mindful of the information that they put out into the world. And so we're really working last year and this year. That's been a big focus for us in the library services team. And many of our librarians are offering professional learning for teachers. They often will partner with design coaches, with instructional technology coaches. They'll provide services after school. They'll do lunch and learns, different ways to help teachers learn the latest, maybe the latest tool, the latest tips and tricks for how they can carry out instruction. And then, of course, information literacy is the basis for our instruction. It's not in addition to, it's what we base everything on. So information literacy is woven even into our math lessons. We are flexible. We're now called more of a learning commons more than anything. Students can come in and they can pull up a chair. They can reconfigure the space as much as they want. We have mobile shelving. In fact, Johnson this year is 100% mobile. There is not one piece of anchored furniture in that space. So at any given time, students and teachers and the librarian can configure the spaces they need. But also, too, we have flexible schedules, and that's thanks to you, school board, because here in Prosper ISD, our librarians have the freedom to schedule their space where students can come and go as they please. They're not part of the specials rotation. So they're not covering teacher planning periods. They're available throughout the school day so students can use it as they need. We offer robust technology, and the best part about that is that offers equitable access. The librarians, because of the fact that they are flexibly scheduled and all students can come down at any time, before school, after school, during lunch, the sky's the limit. Students have an opportunity to use technology that they may not have at home, that they may never get to see, that may not be offered in their class schedule, but they have a way to access it when they go to the library. Also, too, we promote emerging technologies, 3D printing, laser cutters. We have a wide variety of instructional technology tools that students can use for their learning purposes. And we do that through the TPAC model. So that's where technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge come together. Classroom teachers, they're the content experts. And so what I like to talk about is that the librarians are the process experts. How do they support the teachers to bring it all together in a way that really best meets the needs of the students? We're experience rich. We offer maker spaces so kids can come in, and when I mean maker space, I'm not necessarily always meaning arts and crafts, but they can come in and learn robotics and coding, and they can, they can build using all kinds of different electronics and different things where they're able to explore the world around them in a hands-on, meaningful way. We have a variety of clubs, from book clubs, and this year actually, because of the virtual learning that's going on, our librarians are partnering across the district, and they're bringing their clubs together. And so now we're broadening our community, and I think that that's been a huge blessing that has actually come out of COVID, is we have really expanded our reach, that we're not just serving as librarian to our own school community, we're offering our services to the Prosper community. We, again, that community and partnerships and outreach, we partner with area librarians. We bring in experts from the field through Skype and Zoom and Google Meets, and they'll have scientists that will speak to students, and again, just trying to find ways to bring the public into the library. That's also done through authors and guest speakers. And then we also address all the state and national literacy initiatives, whether it's the Bluebonnet Award program that takes place here in Texas, to a variety of different dates that take from like Banned Book Week, all of those things, we honor that. My clicker, there we go. I think that was me. We are embedded. And so what that means is that the library is a space, and it's a space where students can come down and they can find information, but the library doesn't stop at the library walls. The librarians are embedded across the campus, where they are just as comfortable teaching in the classroom as they are teaching in the library. They expand their services to include ways they're holding virtual classes with their students. Again, they're combining and they're co-teaching. We had 3 librarians this year, Sarah O'Connor, Megan Tumulty, and Tracy Kirkland. 3 different campuses, and they all came together to teach one lesson for 3 different schools. And so we're seeing that, where they're working with teachers and being that instructional partner for them. They attend PLCs, where they listen to what the teachers need, and they help offer resources. They help offer any sort of assistance to help, again, connect the instruction to what's happening in the information literacy and library piece. And then virtual learning support. This year we have done everything from taking books into classrooms to minimize students coming into the library. We're offering virtual curbside services where students can put books on hold that are learning remotely, and they can come up on a given day and pick up the books that they want to check out. And we've always actually offered asynchronous services. Our libraries are available 24/7 in the form of well-maintained websites where students can access the different databases we subscribe to through Mac and VIA, and any other resources that the librarian chooses to share. We're student and community focused. We're very proud of the fact that we offer inclusive and diverse resources. So when students come in and check out books, they don't just see books of characters that look like them. They see books with characters that look like the world. And so we call that windows and mirrors. So they see themselves, but then they see out as well. And so we're very proud to offer a wide variety of voices and a wide variety of experiences in the books that are available. Also, too, we host community events, whether it be a literacy night, we can't do it this year, but in the past we've had our Friends and Special Guests Day before Thanksgiving, and the community has been invited in and been able to access the library to support the book fair at that time. We, through all these services, we believe very strongly that we support the social emotional learning of our students. We give them a safe haven where they can come and be themselves, where they can have a place just where they can explore the world in the way that they feel like they need to explore it. And finally, innovative. I think probably one of the things I'm most proud of this year is that the library services team has partnered with the instructional technology team, which is headed up by Mr. Patrick O'Neill, and we have completely redesigned what library is at Prosper High School. This space is now called The Nest, and it has taken 2 individuals, a former instructional technology coach named Ryan Miller and a former librarian named Jenna Hutt, and we have redesigned their role, and it's the Future Ready Designer. And there, what we have done is this beta initiative, it fuses ed tech tools and ed tech pedagogy, librarianship, fabrication, and design thinking, and it fuses it all together into a program where students, despite their schedule, they have the same access to a lot of the same resources as a CTE student would. So they have access to sewing machines, they have access to a laser cutter, 3D printer, microcomputers, a variety of electronics, and students can come down and work individually on projects where they can explore their learning in more concrete, hands-on ways, but also too, teachers can partner with the future ready designers and plan out lessons, and that's what's been happening. Floral design classes have been coming down there. The different like engineering classes, art classes, they've all been meeting with these future ready designers to plan these lessons for students. And again, it's just a way for them to explore. But I know you're probably wondering, well, where are all the books and all of this? And so there is that piece. And so straight from the horse's mouth here.
Hi, the librarians. I love reading your books from Spradley. All of my books from home have like a volume. Read them. I want to read something new. So thanks for telling us to get books. We love getting books.
So I just really want to thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be in Prosper. I came in as coordinator last year for the first time that Prosper had a coordinator, and was named director. And just again, for your support through making sure that all of our campuses have full-time certified librarians, we have full-time assistants, we're scheduled appropriately so we can meet the needs of our students. That's all because of the way that you support our program, and I really want to thank you for that. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rand. She does an absolutely fabulous job. I
Absolutely.
did walk into PHS though last week, and I thought we had a small fire. It was just the Future Ready Lab. That's all that was happening, but it smelled like a fire. But they assured me everything was in check, and this child was design thinking, so it was good.
Any questions or comments? Great. Very good, that's okay. Great. Okay, thank you. Well, with that, we can move forward on the consent agenda. That is an action item requiring a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mays. Second. Thank you, Deborah. All in favor? Okay, great.
Okay, we don't have any education recommendations this month, so we'll go ahead and move on to our business. We have the financial investment report and tax report for October 2020, and Ms. Michelle Cease will come up and present that information to us.
Great.
Good evening, Dr. Ferguson, members of the board. I'm here to present the October 2020 financials. I'll begin with the investment portfolio. As you can see, from the end of September 30th to now, October 31st, it's dropped to 0.17. That's unfortunate, but that's the direction it seems like we're going. As you can see from the screen, on the top of the section, the main funds, the general fund makes up the majority at 62.44%, for a total of 122.2. The total portfolio is 195.8. The lower section breaks up the portfolio for the asset category, which then shows the our pools and our money market accounts. To the right, you'll see the pie charts that'll break it up by percentages. The next screens are a detailed listing of the investments in the same orders, so you'll see that by fund, with the bottom with the 195.8 total. The next page is by bank accounts. The bottom right is the same total, 195.8. The next section will be our general fund maintenance and operations. This provides the revenue and expenditures at a glance for you. The revenues by source in the top portion. for the general fund. The left column is the original budget. The next column to the right is the revised budget, which would be any transfers that have happened in our department. That would just be any transfers by function within our organization. The next column to the right is the year-to-date actual revenues or expenditures, and then your unrealized expenditures or revenues. And you have an encumbrance column and a balance, your year-to-date realized or expended, and your prior year-to-date. We have 32.4 realized revenue, and we have 36.6 expenditures. We have 5.9 of encumbrances. So our revenues for year-to-date, we've realized 18.2%, and the prior year we have 13.4. Our year-to-date for our expenditures is 19.1%, and the prior year was 19.1%. That's really strange, but it is accurate. You can tell functionally there's some differences, but that just shows that we are pretty consistent in our spending. And then the next page is a revenue by source. It's just another look. It's much like the last month. This is just the second month of the year, so there's nothing really unusual for this time of the year. Nothing too significant yet. The next page is just another look at the revenues compared with the expenditures, but this one is by major object, so you'll notice at the bottom the expenditures are broken out by payroll cost, contracted services, supplies, so you'll notice the 61, 62, 63s, and that just gives you another look. The next screen will be the year-to-date expenditures by major object. This just shows last year October compared to this year October, and you'll just notice that it's very static. It just shows that the nature of our expenditures don't really change. The next group we want to look at is the food service, debt service, and athletics. Food service, our actual revenues are $1,021,000, and our expenditures are $1,028,000.
Wrong slide.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. There you go.
We've realized 14.3% of our revenues compared to 23.1% of prior year, and the expenditures are 16.5 compared to 20.7 prior year. The chart, the prior year's in light blue and the current year's in dark blue, and we'll continue to monitor this. We're just dealing with a different environment this year that everybody knows due to COVID. Debt service is the next fund we'll look at. We have realized $698,000 in revenue, which is 1.3% as compared to 2.4%. Again, the prior year's in light blue and the current year's in dark blue, and this is just kind of a slow collection time. The next fund is athletics. We have realized $22,000, which is 4.9% compared to 54.2% last year. Expenditures are $70,750, which is 13.2% compared to 25.1% last year. Again, it's the same kind of, we'll continue to monitor, dealing with a difficult situation. Ticket sales are down and social distancing and etc. We will continue to monitor that also. We have tax collections. This one, the prior year, that's just a visual of last year, so it just kind of shows you that the collection period. We actually owed $133,000 in September for this year. That was just the recalc refunds as of September 30th. That's changed. At that time period, we hadn't collected very much at all. And so all entities were in the same situation because of what was going on. So when we contacted them, they assured us that was the case. It's totally changed since then. It's normally a slow time anyway, so there was no concern there. And then the ag rollback at this time of year, we had 101,000. Last year we had 392,000. So there's a decrease there for this year. The last slide is capital projects. This is our accountability software. We're really excited about this program. It's a program that we've been using for projections and forecasting. We discussed it last time. There's many projects that span multiple years, and so this is a very valuable tool, and it helps us to track items that are not easily accessible in the general ledger. We tried to highlight, like the green box will show the GMP, and then the yellow boxes show the work in progress. So you'll see the construction contract status where it shows POG. And then you'll see up in the top portion where it says 6626. The yellow portions will correlate to the yellow box, and so that kind of shows you that everything is in sync. So we did notice that when it was originally pulled in, Mr. Bridges, thank you. You did catch that when it was pulled in. We apologize for the error. It didn't sum up exactly like it should have, but we corrected that error, and this is a really valuable tool for us, so we're real proud of that. But that concludes the financials for this month.
Great.
One thing I want to point out, thank you, Ms. Cease, but we need to be aware, you may hear of other school districts who are providing free lunch to every single student, no matter who they are, they can come in and get lunch. Prosper ISD does not qualify for that because you need to have at least one of your campuses at 50% of free and reduced lunch students who qualify. We're actually nowhere near 50%, so if you're hearing that out and about with other districts, because I know some of our surrounding McKinney ISD, Frisco actually has a campus, so therefore it qualifies them for the program. So you can see kind of what's happening, but it's all an impact of COVID. Our parents are packing lunches and not sending our students through the lunch line for safety and concern, and so that certainly then impacts that. And then on the athletic front, on those funds, as you well know, we are limited capacity within our stadium and not being able to pack, nor do people always want to come out in those large crowds. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. All right, that's a agenda item that requires a action item, a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jana. Need a second? Thank you, Bill. All in favor? There we go. Good.
Okay. Next on our list, consider action on approval of the financial investment tax report. We don't have any budget
No budget
amendments this
Good.
month.
I apologize, I think I jumped again. I was coming up here for the tax roll. I know.
Well, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Thanks for
Maybe just stay put. Okay, so I recommend that you approve financial investment reports as of October 31st, 2020. Oh, sorry. Now I'm going backwards.
Yeah.
Budget, okay,
There we go.
there we go. Now we're on track.
Okay, thank you. This is an annual item. The tax assessor collector requires board action to adopt the tax roll for 2020 as presented. We have $1.2 billion of increase from prior year certified to this year certified. If we remember, we had two different certifieds this year, the estimate in July, and then we got the better certified in September. And this value, if you look at it from tax roll adoption to tax roll adoption, which is why I did this chart here, it really shows more like a $1.5 billion swing. So that's one thing to consider is when you talk about appraised values, it changes all year long, every day of the year for ARB, different sales and changes and those kinds of things. There's also a comptroller's property tax division number that you'll see that affects our tax rate and funding. That will be different as well because of the timing that they do these in.
Okay, anything else, Ms. Fuller?
Okay, is that, you ready for us to move on that, or do you have more to talk about?
That was all that I had to share with you on that
Okay.
one. Thank
I don't want
you.
to cut you short. You seem so eager to get up there.
Right? I'm ready.
Okay.
Good news?
You
Good.
just hang out, you're
All
good.
right, good. Well, we need a motion to approve the 2020 tax roll summary.
I'll make a motion to.
Thank you,
approve.
Deborah. Second. Thank you, Jana. All in favor? Great, thank you. Okay.
Okay. Consideration and possible action to assign committed fund balance.
Very excited to present this to you this evening. Normally, I would say this is a routine item to commit fund balance to year end, but we have surprisingly good news for our fund balance picture. This is provided by our auditors. The audit's not final. That's why it's marked unaudited, but these are the numbers that you're going to see in the audit report that the board is presented with next month. So a final fund balance is going to be $114.2 million, which is over 50%. But as the board knows, this is just literally a one-time windfall because of the shutdown and the reduction of expenditures for 25% of our fiscal year. So what we would like to do is ask the board for permission to commit $50 million of this for construction, repairs, and renovation. That's just setting it aside and labeling this for something in a fast growth district like us. That's very routine. We've done that every year. We'd like to shift also our typical capital outlay items that we take to bond every year, shift those over to general operating because of this windfall again. And we're going to need, you'll see some items in here for technology items. One of those items we'd like to come from this committed fund balance. So really trying to shift the bond program and get the general fund to have that separation as well. And also, as we know, the legislature, and you can't talk about fund balance and a healthy fund balance without that word of caution. There's a lot of doom and gloom coming out of the legislature. Bills are already being filed, and there's a lot of things that are just targeting fund balances for school districts because it's larger statewide than their rainy day fund. And school district fund balances are not a rainy day fund. The state's mechanism has the ability to replenish the rainy day fund. Money goes into it every year, so it's got a constant inflow, whereas district fund balances are just one-time things that are caused by nuances in any one year that add up over time. So the other commitment of fund balance is for retirement of loans and notes payable that we have on the books. The district took out a note, I believe it was for school buses a number of years ago. And we are talking with our financial advisor about the possibility of maybe paying that off early because we have an $800,000 annual payment on that. So that might be a strategy for also shifting the budget this next year. Thank you.
Our auditors were very impressed with the work that Ms. Cease and Ms. Fulmer have done, and they said actually that we were in such a good place as far as the audit went that it will make the work easier moving forward because it was a very clean audit. So I want to applaud their efforts because
Right.
this is tedious work.
Important work, very good. Any questions on that recommendation?
Make a motion.
Okay, Mays makes a motion. Second?
Second.
Second, all right. Bill, all in favor? Great, okay. Thank you.
If you want to stay, you can.
No, she's exiting.
Okay, she's leaving. All right, okay. So we have consideration and possible approval on refresh equipment for existing school campuses, and you can see it was in your board packet for the campuses that are actually in need of a refresh, needing iPads, iPad cases, MacBook Pro laptops. You can see the list, Dell software, not software, but actually Windows desktops. And this would be going to, you can see Prosper High School, Reynolds Middle School, and Rogers Middle School, which you all know are our older facilities. And then iPads being distributed to Folsom, Rucker, Winsong, and Hughes, those classrooms. And then we need the new line, actually interactive TVs, to replace the projectors in the boards that we had at the classrooms for Cockrell, Light Farms, Hughes, and Winsong. As you know, this is just an ongoing challenge to try to keep technology up to speed and to keep our campuses where they need to be so that there's equity and certainly cutting-edge technology provided to our students. Comes with a hefty price tag. Mr. Dave Velasco, anything you'd like to add? All the principals that seeing their names right now are salivating. to know they're gonna get new things.
Nothing to add unless you have any questions.
Well, I thought it was pretty self-explanatory in the packet. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. Well, we'll entertain a motion on item E.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, Jana, second. Deborah Smith, all in favor? Great, thank you.
And then
More technology.
Yes, more technology for Mike and Janie Reeves Elementary as well as Mrs. Jerry Bryant. We're trying to get this to you ahead of schedule, and just like when Ms. Cease was showing with the accountability software we're using and being able to track expenditures, we're going to go ahead and make a request with your approval for technology for elementary 13 and elementary 14, and you can see the list of items that we're needing for those new campuses to get up and running.
Great.
Anything you'd like to add, Mr. De Velasco?
The only thing missing from there is the network equipment. We're still evaluating the bids that we have received. So next month in December, we will be presenting the last part of the new elementary schools, which is the network
Yeah,
equipment and the
okay.
connectivity to the schools.
Great.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Action item required on item 7F.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jana.
Second.
Second, Mays, all in favor? Great, okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I think we're done.
get a motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion?
Thank you, Bill, second? Second, Deborah, all in favor? Okay, we will be heading into executive session where we'll do executive session stuff, and then we will come back out and tell you what that was. So you're welcome to stick around if you'd like to. Okay. We are back in session at 9:28. I need a motion for level 3.
I move that the board uphold the administration's decision at level 2.
Okay, all in favor?
Second.
Oh, second, sorry, yep, second. Second by Mays Davenport, all in favor? Okay, we have 5 in favor and 2 abstentions. Do I have a motion to accept resignations?
Make a motion to accept the resignations.
Thank you, Deborah. Second? Thank you, Bill. All in favor? Okay, and motion for the conditional approval of the hires.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you, Janice. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Deborah. All in favor? Great. Do I have a motion to adjourn? May, second. Bill, all in favor? Buenas noches.